Hello and welcome to Talkin Jake, your Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs. They beat the Eagles 38-35 in what was a great event around Rihanna's halftime show. The Chiefs, man, that second half will get talked about for a while. The holding penalty that set up what was a lackluster end to a fantastic football game. Man, I guess where do you start? And I think you start at the top in the first half. Let's run through it. And by the way, yes, I did win America $500,000 yesterday. We'll talk about that in a minute. Before the game, it's leading up before the game. You're wondering how's everyone doing? Maybe you're watching the Waste Management Open. You're betting on a lot of props. Gatorade, coin flip. Had one of my best sports betting days ever yesterday. Even the dumb stuff. I bet Chiefs and tails to win the coin flop. Got them both. I don't know. Leading up to the game, I kept saying the same corny line. I said it on here, and it feels like a cop-out line, but I kept saying either Chiefs close or Eagles big. And the emotional line that I texted social media Kyle before the match, because Kyle's a big sports nerd, and he's a fake Eagles fan now because of his significant other, if you will. I said, I know who Reid and Mahomes are. I'm not sure who Hurts and Sirianni are. Little poetic snaps at a Philly coffee shop. Wow. The game starts. The Eagles win that coin toss, like I mentioned, and they defer, which I was not a big fan of. The Eagles, say whatever you want about them. A lot of people are now saying they didn't play a lot of people. They were also really close to winning this Super Bowl. They've been one of the best first drive teams to ever exist. I think coming into this game, I think it was 12 touchdowns on their first drive. And I think after this game it was 13. They marched down the field pretty handily. The Chiefs had a third down early on that first series. After that,
they had them.
It was 3rd and 5. And it was like, whoa. Like, if the Chiefs do this, and then they kind of chop down that Eagles kind of thing that they're special at, that could change the whole tone of the game. They got that third down. They marched the rest of the way. It was 7-0. Philadelphia Beagles. The Chiefs answer, and that was pretty exciting. Mahomes to Kelsey for 20 yards on that drive. Pacheco, my guy, breaks out for 24 yards of his own. And then Kelsey to Mahomes, 18-yard touchdown pass. And we've been doing it on here. I couldn't believe how much of a joke it turned into on like the actual pregame or the post, the ceremony where they gave the trophy. It's how can you not guard Travis Kelsey? And it's a mix of him being one of the best to ever do it. And it's a mix of Andy Reid, whose play calling I still want to talk about later. But it's 7-7, Super Bowl. Sometimes the nerves kick in and it's not pretty football early. No, these guys are ready to go. That being said, the Eagles do get a stop. Or excuse me, the Chiefs get a stop on the next possession. And now you're really starting to drink some Chiefs Kool-Aid. You're like, okay, they're going to get the ball back. They're going to go up. They're going to go up, and they get the ball at half. Like, the kickoff worked. They go down. They run kind of a cheeky 3rd and 3 play where Mahomes sneaky almost got intercepted on it. It's like a little play-action scramble, busted play. He tried to flip it to the tight end. I don't think it was Kelsey. I think it was the other guy. It's just an ugly play, and then your 42-yard field goal. Harrison Butker, they decide to not go on it in 4th and 3, which circle that, especially with what Philly did the entire night. hits the upright, and you go, okay. So you just had the momentum a little bit. It felt like your whole opening strategy worked. Now you give it back to Philly with okay field position. If they get one first down, you're in great field position. And they marched it down 5 plays. They had 3rd and 4 on the first one. They draw Frank Clark off sides, which was a little like, and circle back to that later on. What was the big play? Oh, that was the big A.J. Brown play. So it's the end of the first quarter. You come back. You're getting Super Bowl commercials. And here's Hurts with one of his high-arcing balls that, looks like it scrapes the roof of the stadium. And A.J. Brown, he's a beast. One of those Chiefs rookie secondary guys just took one false step, and that was it. And you're going, okay. The Eagles are now back, and they're rolling. They looked good. Hurts looked fantastic. We've circled the whole, the time frame of Talkin Jake now from what we've seen. A young Jalen Hurts that looked ugly to a young Jalen Hurts that they were winning games. They were kind of the barometer team. They were winning games against bad teams. Against some of the good teams, he would rack up some stats late, but it never felt significant. It felt like he'd have a nice drive. They'd be down 10. He'd get them the touchdown at the end of the game, but what did that really mean? 2, Jalen Hurts throws now one of the most accurate balls in the league. Some of the catches these dudes were making, Goddard had a couple on his head. Devontae Smith ends up getting overturned, and I think rightfully so. I think they got the replay calls right in this game, but there's a couple close ones, man. And watching with my sweet Jessica, which was unique, it was interesting, some of the arguments you hear sports fans talk about when you bring someone else into the world. If you remember, there was the second Chiefs, what looked like the second Nick Bolton touchdown. They let the play go. But I think everyone that saw it live was pretty sure it was an incomplete pass if you watched a lot of football games.
Yeah, good no call in real time and review.
You should let it go because it's a lot harder to flip it the other way. But in real time, it looked like that was incomplete. They showed the slow-mo replay. The first, 5 replays, they showed the slow-mo replay, and Jess was like, he caught it. He caught it. He, plants. He turns. And I was like, in real time, it feels a lot different. And then they showed the first real-time replay, and she's like, oh, yeah. And that's kind of...
Yeah, that was all not even a second.
It's one of those things that sports that replay we need to circle up on it because it can be tricky. We see it in baseball a lot too. Either way, Eagles 14-7. Chiefs punt again, 3 and out. So now we are really in danger time. The Eagles look like they're rolling. They get the ball back, and especially where this game landed, the Jalen Hurts fumble for a touchdown, not hit, just kind of wiggling back there, looking for room, loses the ball. Bolton scoops and scores. It's 14-14. You're saying, okay, Super Bowl back on. Because the Eagles, from everything they've shown this year, and I said it with Chris Rose in the preview, it's kind of funny. They had a chance to go down as one of the most dominant football teams ever. If they won this game, their previous 2 playoff games, they dominated. They dominated all season, offensively and defensively.
Regular season, they felt like a team that just every area of the team was very dominant, and you had really no answer for them.
Hurts was the question mark, and he looked like the strength in this game. So yeah, they were nasty. And guess what? So fumble, touchdown. What did they do? First play. I'll give some credit to Sirianni here. They had Hurts run it again. Hurts ran up the middle for 14 yards. It was one of those good footballs. Okay, something happened. We don't care. We're gonna move past that. 12 plays, 75 yards, a 7-minute drive, another touchdown. They had 2 4th-down conversions. One was a Jalen Hurts quarterback like sneak base, or I shouldn't say sneak because we need to talk about that with the Eagles. It was 5 wide shotgun, and it was a design QB run. And one of the Chiefs player was a hand away from what could have been an embarrassing kind of stop at midfield, and you'd question that play call. Another 4th down, they draw them offsides again, neutral zone infraction. Eagles score. They go up 21-14, and I tweeted out at the time, and I'll be honest, I had money on the Chiefs. I had all my tweets and my parlays and everything. I was on the Chiefs. You guys know I talked about it last week. I was in on Mahomes, in on Reid. They get the ball back with about 2 minutes to play, a little over 2 minutes to play. And you're like, okay, Mahomes, the way this game has been going, maybe they just drive it, put up another 6, and they get the ball back in a tied game. Like that, the whole strategy would have worked. Where I was scared, and it didn't even end up really happening. Valdez-Scantling kind of, he didn't run the perfect route. Greg Olsen was on that. A false start made it 2nd and 15. Incomplete pass, 3rd and 15. That was it. So they are now punting to the Eagles, down 7. And there's a deep pass here. A.J. Brown had an impressive run where he got out of bounds that saved them another timeout that was going to give them another chance at it. Devontae Smith. There's also the play. This was the overcalled play to Devontae Smith that could have changed everything. They would have had a few shots at the end zone. They kick a field goal. They go in up 10, and you're like, all right. Like the Eagles, man. Hurts looks really good. The Mahomes gets rolled up going into the half. Remember their final drive? Mahomes tried to make something happen on 3rd down. He comes up limping on the bad ankle. So the final taste you get left in your mouth is the Chiefs get stopped on back-to-back possessions, and Mahomes comes out with an injury, and the Eagles are up 10 going into the half. I was pretty down on the Chiefs. The Eagles' offense looked unstoppable. Their QB sneak thing is unreal. Like, don't get me wrong. There is a 20% of me that thinks it's super cool that how dominant they can be at that. A play that we've seen in the NFL since you've watched the NFL. And they can get 2 yards, if not 3 to 4, on every QB sneak because they have the strongest offensive line and they have an ungodly strong quarterback. The Jalen Hurts 6,600-pound squat thing. Even there was the one play where Chris Jones, one of the best interior linemen in the NFL, they were getting pushed on those 3rd and short, 4th and short. So he jumps it, pops Hurts in the nose, hits the ball. Hurts takes it and keeps going and gets 2 yards. It was like
still wiggle.
That was honestly the moment that kind of shook me a little bit because it's, when you talk about football teams in history, I was laughing because I was like, are we going to talk about this Eagles team as dominant? And when you tell your kids about them, are we going to be telling our kids about this new age offense that had the best QB sneak ever? Like, that's one of those things that you hear and you just scoff at. Like, picture the way the NFL is going. Games, for our kids, games are going to be 45-40, if not higher. Like, look at college football right now. And we're going to be talking about how good the Eagles were because of a QB sneak. That's one of those things that you're like, all right, Grandpa. Like, hey, let's get you some rest. Halftime show. My buddies are telling me to hit the Chiefs live. I don't have the heart for it. Halftime show starts. Rihanna. We've got the belly. Everyone kind of does. Let's be honest. America was doing the. I think she's pregnant, but
And I was like, I know she recently was, but
right. And then she started doing some belly stuff.
When the first baby happened,
she's either like real proud or pregnant or both. She was pregnant. Pregnant, and everyone had those context clues. But it was one of those.
And like the way she was kind of dancing, it was like
right.
I don't want to say it was a little stiff, but
it's what I do. It's what I do. I have a history of dance. I have strong dance performances in my life, And now I have to, I don't know, taper it or limit myself. I went to my buddy's bachelor party in Vegas, and the next day we like regrouped up with some guys, and a guy looked at me and he just gave me like the Bernie signal because that's all I had. I was tired. I flew in and we had been out for a while, so I didn't have real dance moves. So I just kept like
whatever
Bernie.
you could do and with your
that
feet
was all I
planted.
had. Yeah, I was stuck. So yeah, Rihanna was doing that. I want to give her credit because again, people were confused at first. Her timing on the dance moves were really good. And that's what she had because she's pregnant. And she was way too high. Definitely had that.
Yeah, like in hindsight.
Oh, I was scared, man. And I hope there's secret stuff I don't know. Like I hope like the microphone pole was like locked in. So I don't know. Or her
stabilize
her
on
boots
that.
were like glued to the ground or something because she was up there. Anyways, incredible performance. Inspired me a little bit. I was like, you know what? I will hit the Chiefs live. If that can happen, anything can happen. And they come out 10 plays, 75 yards. They had a 3rd and 1 on their first go at it, but other than that, not scary at all. I mean, Kelsey again on that drive, McKinnon. Pacheco again. So they score. It's 24-21. And maybe this is, I think it's so funny because when you're living the game and you're texting your buddies or you're on Twitter, there's different things that you feel throughout the game. The Eagles have a 17-play drive. 60 yards, 7 minutes, 45 seconds. I believe it was the most plays on a drive in NFL history. 17 plays. They end up with a field goal. They get 4th and 1 on the QB sneak, obviously. This was the 3rd and 14 where they took the penalty because Sirianni is so gung-ho on saving his timeouts that they took the 5-yard penalty, and then Hurts drops the dime to Goddard. This is it's funny because it was very similar to the Devontae Smith catch, but also not at all. He kind of pins it on his helmet, and there's a shuffle.
Like rearranges it.
But when he rearranged it, his other toe is still on the ground, and he was in control. So I agreed with both calls. I thought the Devontae Smith should be overturned. Because there was a shuffle and there was a bobble on the ground. Goddard, there was the one helmet shuffle, but it kind of stayed. So they looked into that. That was a Chiefs review. They lose the timeout, and they gave up a 3rd and 14. So, 4th and 1 QB sneak. Obviously, that's what they do. The one sack in this game technically happened on this drive. Hurts ran out of bounds. Again, one sack in that game. Remember that when we talk about the Eagles and their full picture. That they get the stop. 3rd and 11. And they called timeout before that because the play clock was running out again. So that timeout they saved earlier in the drive, they end up burning here on another potential delay of game. They get the stop. They kick a 33-yard field goal. And man, that's one of those. I've done this before with football, and especially the bigger games. When you look at the box score and you see some of the aftermath and what felt differently during the game, them holding them to that field goal. I guess this probably isn't as hot take as I was just delivering it, but I guess I've just in that moment how impactful the difference between 3 and 7 would have been there. Because the Chiefs get the ball back and they drive the field and they get a touchdown. They take the lead 28-27. So now they have the lead. And again, they're still the big bad wolf. Reid and Mahomes are the big bad wolf. I know the Eagles were slight favorites coming into this game, but Mahomes and Reid, they've done this. 3 and out for the Eagles. 3rd and 3, but it's on their own 32, so they're not going to go for it. The punt by Sippus, who had been out for the Eagles, and he got healthy for the Super Bowl. Their punter was back. low line drive kick, and Giants legend Kadarius Toney with a 65-yard return. And one of the fun kind of returns, like, you either see the returns where they get the one cut and they're gone, they have that lane, or, you kind of, you've tried it in your backyard if you played any football game. Like, I'll run one way and then I'll run the other way. Kadarius Toney, one of the few guys that can do that in an NFL Super Bowl game. That set up a touchdown, and there's two things I didn't mention. So Kadarius Toney scored the first touchdown from Mahomes, wide open. And then they did it again. Same play, other side of the field, Sky Moore this time. Wide open. Like I think I make the pass wide open. And I want to circle back to that. But let's finish the game. So Kansas City's up a touchdown. I'll never know why coaches in that situation, especially the Eagles that are the best short yardage team kind of like ever, why not go for 2 there? If you get it, you go up 9, and you're Andy Reid, and you are an incredible play caller. If you don't get it, you're up 7, so the other team's still not going to go for 2. I've never understood that one. You have a chance to go up 2 scores.
Yeah, there was a lot of discourse happening about that call. Because I guess it's just, if you don't get it, then you're only up 6, and they just need touchdown, extra point, and then you're down.
Well, no, you're up
right?
7, right?
Because if you go for 2 and miss it, then you only had gotten 6. As opposed, they took the 7.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's a conversation. And again, this is my point to the conversation. The Eagles come back down and they make the drive. Hurts leads them. Some impressive stuff on this drive, man. He is like the biggest winner from this game for me. Well, I guess Mahomes. But Hurts was incredible. The 2-point conversion, he runs into 3 Chiefs. And I had buddies biasly, again, they had money on the Chiefs saying like, hey, come on, Chiefs can't make that tackle. That was Hurts. That's where he's currently special. Like that's
like the number one skill he's got.
Like high level power runner. And then basically the final drive of the game. 12 plays, 66 yards, 5:07. You get the holding penalty that'll be talked about a lot and still being talked about. Bradbury admitted it was hold. I don't know. Why did he admit that? I guess good sportsmanship, or I don't know. Someone give him a bag of money and say like, hey, let's not have this be the conversation. There's the problem with the replay of it was the real hold was earlier than they kept showing in the replay, because you kind of see you see that turn up field and you see his hand around him, and sometimes that's where the hold comes from a lot. He did a hold like the first move. I don't know. It was, if you're an Eagles fan, I think you can be mad about that call. I don't think you'd be mad about the game because your defense got worked in the second half and you had your opportunities. So in that way, I don't think it can, and it was a bummer. From there, they can basically run out the clock. They run out to 8 seconds. Eagles get one more play. Bad Hail Mary attempt. People were dancing on that a little bit, but that's just if you hate the Eagles. So at the end of this, what do we have? The Chiefs, I think I can keep that high and tight. Borderline dynasty, we all get up in arms about that. People have their rules, 3-5, whatever it is. Patrick Mahomes, 5 years as a starting quarterback. He's been to 5 conference championship games. Sounds like some Astros shit. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Chris Rose was on here last week and said Patrick Mahomes has an argument that he's the best quarterback ever. He obviously doesn't have the full resume because he's 27, but he does stuff on a field you've never seen before. And by the way, we always do this in sports that we're like, you might never see that again. I mean, he's on like Brady's trajectory. Like if you're about racking up everything, they've been every year he's been a starter. They've been to the conference championship game, been to 3 Super Bowls, won 2. Andy Reid was a guy that was respected as one of the NFL coaches, but he had never won it. Now he's paired with this dude. And again, I want those 2 final touchdown passes were wide open. Like not, there's times when I have this weird Napoleon cockiness that I shouldn't have. Could make those throws. The guys were wide open. He used Kelsey perfectly. He got Kelsey open enough that they used him when they needed to. And in the second half, he basically turned into a decoy. And it got Juju open. And Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, guys that had been like viewed as disappointments. Sky Moore in the regular season, a lot of people took a fantasy flyer on him. It didn't click. Kadarius Toney on his second team, came over from the G-Men. Juju. People were wondering his health or if he was like good still, even though he's still very young. He was in the league so young, being good with the Steelers. Andy Reid is an all-time coach, and now with 2 Super Bowls, it's a lot easier to say that. Mahomes is an all-time quarterback. The Chiefs' defense did enough. They dialed up a couple blitzes in the right moments. What's the former Giants guy?
Spagnuolo,
that's his signature. They didn't blitz at all in the last game, and people were wondering if he was going to dial up. He did, and when he did, it worked. So good for him, kind of going back to his laurels. Pacheco was really good in this game. Like him. I've been talking about him a lot on here. I have to take half credit for that. My guy Rosillo was on him earlier. You guys know how much I like him. The Eagles, Sirianni. Jess kept mentioning she thinks he's hot. I didn't love that. Week before we get married. Not the best tone. We did both agree he is Philly hot. We talked about that with Chris Rose. Jess said he's like dive bar hot. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of what we're saying, babe. But let's stop talking about it.
I don't need this right now.
Jalen Hurts was awesome. The touch passes, 15 carries for 70 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, and a passing touchdown. He's awesome. My only fear with him, no one can rush the ball that much and with that style. So, we've talked about it, whether it's Josh Allen, whether it's Lamar, whether it's like Russell Wilson. He's going to need an evolution, but I'm not worried about it because he makes the throws, man. Literally nobody in the NFL can run 15 carries a game anymore. Like, you lose the tread on your tire. It's running backs, whoever it is. But
you can bust that toy out a couple times a year, but
he was amazing. No, I mean, for the Super Bowl, that's when you do it, right? Like, we saw Mahomes have that one run. Like, Hurts can have a little more of that because what Mahomes can do throwing-wise is like nothing we've ever seen before. Devontae Smith is awesome. I was joking with my buddies. Whatever reason, and I'm sure in person it's different, but on an NFL field, and maybe it's being next to A.J. Brown, who's one of the biggest freaks in the league, Devontae Smith, he looks like a freshman in high school, but he makes every play. So, like, I'm done with that. He's one of my favorite receivers in the league. If he looked like A.J. Brown, I think there'd be an argument he's better than A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's yak and stuff I got into the stats after the game, and he's
a monster.
He's a different world, but he looks like a monster. Devontae Smith does not.
Some of my like Philly friends, they were at some meet and greet Devontae was at. I'm like, no, in pictures with like just my friends, not much older than him. Kid looks really young. Like he is
young and he is skinny, and it just is what it is. And sometimes people break the mold. Let's go the opposite end of the spectrum with Alejandro Kirk in baseball. Died 5'7", like 260.
That was like his listed.
That doesn't work for everybody else, but for him it does. Devontae Smith, I don't know, even one of the early plays of the game, he got rocked. It was good. So some people are just different, and he is one of those people. What else do I need to close off with the Chiefs? Kelsey's all time. You can debate tight ends. We did that briefly. Gronk is like a better blocker and stuff. Both had great quarterbacks. Do whatever you want there.
Tight end conversation can be fun.
Tony Gonzalez still has an argument as the Chiefs tight end. So that's a whole thing. Chiefs defense was good enough. I mean, again, they gave up 35, and they could have given up more. Like, we could easily be sitting here saying, Chiefs defense wasn't all that in a bag of chips. But Philadelphia's defense was kind of supposed to be. They had, I think, 180. I might be mixing 180 sacks this year. That can't be right. First or second most sacks in NFL history. I know they had an extra game, but they had this rotating D-line and Sue and Hargrave and Fletcher Cox and some other games No sacks. 0 sacks on Mahomes. And remember that Chiefs' last Super Bowl against Tampa Bay and Tom Brady, they lost because their O-line was overwhelmed. So they retooled it. They got in the lab, and it looks like that paid off. I want to get to Sirianni. Again, maybe it was just calling him hot. It feels like, in a way, I don't know, I don't want to say he's got a golden goose here, but the Eagles roster is nasty. Both lines. Their running backs, man. Gainwell, 7 for 21, 3 yards a carry. Yeah. Miles Sanders, 7 for 16. Boston Scott, 3 for 8. So that's interesting, and that's where the Chiefs D probably deserves credit. Their run defense was good. That's normally where Philly really rolls you. They have the lead, and they just run it, and the game's over. They couldn't do that. So that's where the Chiefs D probably deserves their most credit. They were pretty good in the run, outside of Hurts, but that's a whole different story.
That was like specific play that kind of kept spamming.
Sirianni, there's a couple moments I didn't like. There was the Devontae Smith play that got overturned. And it's why Philly currently loves him, but he was kind of talking shit to the Chiefs defense. Do you remember the Chiefs defense? They went back up the field because they thought it was going to get overturned. And then there was a moment in the stadium, because the refs were talking to the Eagles coaches, where everyone thought the catch was going to stand. So the Chiefs defense started walking back, and Sirianni started waving them back, and then it never happened. I mean, that is what it is. We've become so used to the composed coach that a coach that shows emotion like that, and especially when you end up losing, it can look bad. I thought he was a little too conservative on third down, and I was wondering if that was a bad opinion by me, but I listened to a couple things, and I also heard that. The trick is that they're so good on fourth and short that they can be a little more conservative on third down. That being said, I thought they got bailed out a couple times. The 4th and 5 shotgun QB keeper, that was a juke away from being a bad look. It worked out, so I guess I can't hold that against them. The 3rd and 14, there's a couple times where they got bailed out by Hurts basically being really good. So again, compliment to Hurts, and Sirianni shouldn't get the full brunt of it, but it also gets really tricky when they had 3rd and 3, right? The drive before they give it back, they're down 1 point to Kansas City. 3rd and 3. They have this all-time QB sneak. It cannot be stopped. On 3rd and 3, with your season on the line, this might sound obnoxious. You do 2 QB sneaks and you get a first down. I'm sorry. You have this secret weapon. Instead, on 3rd and 3, you run a pass play. It's incomplete. So now it's 4th and 3. So you can't run your unstoppable QB sneak. So you punt it because you're so far deep in your own end zone. And that was the whole talk of the first half. Sirianni, he can be aggressive. That third, they're so special on short down. Andy Reid didn't go for it on 4th and 3. They tried to kick the field goal. It misses. That, in hindsight, I I think is tough. I thought this game was super close. It's 38-35. I heard a lot of people saying the better team won on this day, and it's why I picked them, because they had Mahomes and Reid. Again, some of those Reid play calls wide open in the Super Bowl, and like Mahomes might be the best to ever do it.
Like those two plus Kelsey plus Bieniemy, like particularly those four and the other guys that have been there are just as in lockstep as that group can be. They've been together a while and dominant for a while, and
why Bieniemy doesn't have a head coaching job is insane. Like there's I know Reid and Mahomes should get a lot of credit, very true, but also look at Brian Daboll. Like, did Josh Allen not get a lot of credit? And the Daboll thing worked out decently.
It's not like it's somewhat similar to Josh Allen. Mahomes, it's not like he was a can't miss prospect. He was somebody helped him with something.
By the way, if he has some of Reid's special sauce, wouldn't that be worth it at this point? So it's
there's checking out
some America racism stuff there that's pretty not great.
Doesn't he because he wasn't even up for one this year.
And I think
he's been up for them in the past a little bit.
I think the Eagles D coordinator is supposed to be the favorite to get the Cardinals job, which is funny because the Eagles defense got killed in the second half by Bieniemy's offense. So,
does he have some assurance that Reid's got 2 years left and he can have it? That's the only thing that would be oh, okay.
So I think what's interesting is I don't think he does. I think Reid, we have this image of him being he's an old chunky guy. So it's sometime that runs
forever,
out, right? The rumor is he still loves it. He's having a blast. There's no rumors of retirement. It wasn't even a question. They asked him after. He's like, no, I'm good. He's still 64. Having fun. He's winning Super Bowls. And maybe this is tied to, again, not a long time ago, Andy Reid was the coach that couldn't win the big game. His Eagles. McNabb. They couldn't do it.
It was they couldn't do it, and he's keeping them from doing it. It was bad clock management.
Right.
Whatever.
It's easy to become a joke when you're the big, silly guy. He's not a joke anymore. So, I don't know. For Philly, I think Hurts, you have a special window the next couple years. Schefter tweeted out their free agent list after the game. It's a big one, but I don't know.
They have a lot of guys anyway. Every team's got to do that dance.
You do a couple, you re-sign the right guy.
Cap space doesn't really exist.
They'll be back. I don't think they'll be able to sneak up on teams next year. What does that mean? NFL defenses are smart and adjust really well. That teams will be more adjusted to the Eagles' type of play next year. That being said, I still think they'll be really good, and I'm in on Hurts, and I think this will be good for Sirianni. I think he's a good coach. I think he coached to his team, but this was his first Super Bowl, and it was against Andy Reid and Mahomes. People were kind of saying that the Eagles had the better head coaching situation because the guys love Sirianni. You think the Chiefs guys don't love Reid? I don't know. That just, I felt on paper people were almost saying the coaching matchup was even, and I don't think it was. Chiefs win 38-35. Other storylines. The field was horrible. I was having old man moments. I almost couldn't believe, but then I was verified on it. I couldn't believe they painted on the field again. Going back to my youth, I remember them painting on the field for the first time, and it would be slippery. And the players would say, yeah, it was crazy slippery on the painted parts. Well, yeah, because you painted on the field. What are we doing? It's 2023. And then the further you dive into that, the worse it gets. The NFL spent 18 months working on this field. They tried developing new grass special for this game. My buddy Big Evan hit it on the nose. Thought we had grass figured out. Didn't think we needed to go to another level with the grass. The guy that's running the grass, if you're a sports fan, you've seen this guy. The Sod Father, he's done every big sporting event the last 50 years. He's in his 90s, and he's still involved. I don't know how much. but he's still in. 90s, people.
He's not just giving like final thumbs ups.
90s. So the result shouldn't shock you at all. If you still paint it on the field, you're trying to make new grass for no reason, and you got a 90-year-old guy involved, yeah, I am not shocked at the result at all. So that was a story.
94, jeez.
94. Biden thinks he's old. Politics. Rihanna was great. Chiefs, kind of a dynasty. They, their wide receivers at the end of this kind of weren't scary at all. That feels like an easy change. Being Patrick Mahomes' defense is pretty cool because you kind of just have to be like electric in a couple moments in today's NFL, and that'll do it. Eagles are going to be around. I'm just interested to see. I think let's see how Hurts's window looks like, because if he has to run the ball that much, it will wear you out. I think we've already seen Lamar have a little bit of like fatigue from being hit and stuff. The running is a little different. He's had injuries the past couple years. We saw Russ evolve. I think he can, because again, the Hurts accuracy. Accuracy is the most underrated thing from a quarterback these days. We do all the arm strength stuff. But can you make that throw to Goddard on 3rd and 14? Put it in the only place? Hurts can. So I'm in on Hurts. I think the team will grow from that. Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Goddard. They'll still be able to run the ball with the O-line, and they'll retool the defense. And I think, the NFC beast, not to be rude, but we'll see if the other teams can take the leap. But the Eagles are set up well. Me winning America $500,000. I think it's the final thing I'd like to touch on. I put out my Jakey parlay. Kelsey yards, Kelsey touchdown, Pacheco yards, Pacheco touchdown. Things were looking good, right? Kelsey scores instantly. Bang. He gets like 40 yards on the first drive. Feeling good. Pacheco has a couple big runs early. He gets the touchdown. I think McKinnon got stopped at the 1. It was really close. They give it to Pacheco. He scores. Okay. He's over on his yards. He's scored. Kelsey is 4 yards away, and we're in the third quarter. Joe's McFly at the game. So all my buddies are doing the let's not talk about it. Because almost 30,000 people placed this bet. 30,000 people. So I'm having little mini panic attacks when I originally see that number. So all my buddies,
how close it is.
All my buddies are doing the like, hey, let's not talk about it. A couple people were like, going the other way, and they're like, hey, 4 yards, we got this. Like
one more play.
Don't worry, it's Kelsey. Like, we're 4 more yards. Let's get it. Tweet from Joe's McFly. Hey, I think your bet hit. Which anyone who's ever gambled, or if you just believe in anything, you can't say that. It's football.
Especially when one of them's like running back, yards, like they can go away.
The next drive, Kelsey gets the ball. Got one defender to beat. He does not. 3-yard gain. We're 1 yard short. They don't give him the ball the rest of the way. They have the next drive. They're feeding Juju. They're using Kelsey as a distraction. I am having a panic attack. I'm about to kill Joe's McFly. He's dead to me. The Chiefs have the lead, which would mean as long as they keep the lead, they're basically going to run it on 1st and 2nd down. And if they do anything, they're going to use Kelsey as the decoy because they're leaving everyone else wide open. So now I'm ready to disown Joe's. After the Eagles tie it, I was like, okay, the Chiefs have to go again, so I'm probably in a good spot now. They hit him for like a 9-yard game over. I put 20 on, I think it was 20 for like 200 or something, or 25 for 200. And yeah, I just did some loose math on it. I was like, if 30,000 people placed the bet, and the average bet was $20, which could be potentially a little high because it's a parlay, but for every 50,
if however many people did their like $5 free bet,
right? For every 50, there's a $5 and a 10 and 100 and
let's call it around.
So if it was around 20, that comes out to $600,000. So if you trim off 1,000, saying I was a little high on the $20 bet, 500K on the line, which means that won people. Oh, so I won people a lot more money. That would just be the bet. So let's see.
So that's
Calculator app.
That's just the total amount that got wagered.
So 500 times. God, I'm so bad at gambling math sometimes. What would 675 plus be? I'm so bad.
Calculator.
I won America a lot of money. I was very nervous about it. And by the way, I'm not so dumb that I do know the other side of that coin is that, when I put out my bets that lose, I'm losing people money. But I think I won people a lot of money.
Yeah. That bet probably makes up for any bets you lost this year.
I think that bet won America like $4 million. Because if it was even odds, that would have been $1 million, right? 500 to win $1 million. If it was like plus 200, that would have been two. Is it like $6 million? No, that would have been $1 million.
It's plus 675.
Yeah.
I believe that if my number's correct, it's a little under 4 mil.
I won America $4 million.
3.9.
Holy shit.
3.875 is the exact number.
Oh my God.
Assuming exactly 500K wagered.
So that was pretty
America.
cool. I couldn't believe how many bets I won yesterday. Just even, again, I had Pacheco like first to 20 yards rushing. I just went silly before the game. I did really well. It was a good Super Bowl. I would, lackluster ending with the hold and the kneeling. I don't know. If I told you before the season, Mahomes, Reid, and the Chiefs did it again. I don't know if they should have been underdogs in this Super Bowl. That hurts fumble recovery. Everyone's kind of just mentioning it and moving on. Like that's crazy bad.
It doesn't really happen.
That's crazy bad for Mahomes, who was super clean in this game. I hope you enjoyed it, however you watched it. I do think I need to end with, I think Talkin Jake's going on probably like a week and a half pause because I'm getting married. Thought about it.
If we do one the day you get back or something.
It's the start of spring training and stuff, so it might just be better if we're getting caught up on. Yeah. So, and the Super Bowl, maybe that's a good way to take a pause. So
we'll break.
I appreciate you guys. Please bake the algorithm. Leave comments. Share this one with a friend. Tell me what I'm missing.
Kevin Durant's in Phoenix. I don't know.
Oh, my God. How about that? Big week for Phoenix. Golf, back playing one and done. So there will be some of that. Harrison Butker miskicked. Congrats to the Chiefs. Congrats to Reid. And, yeah, I kind of had an incredible day. So I'm king of the world, and I won America $4 million. Change the title. Thanks, everyone. I love you guys.